I think the bicycle is a good teaching tool to illustrate the importance of your propeller pitch as it pertains to the strain and the work that you're asking your motor to do. I think we've pretty much all ridden a bike, and we've probably all ridden one of these bikes with multiple gears on it. When you're up here in this gear, you could be in a ratio because of the number of teeth on this sprocket, such that one turn of your pedal might turn this tire by only a third of its circumference. In other words, if you want this wheel to go around one time, you might have to run this pedal around 3 times. That's a lot easier on you to pedal, but you're not going to quite go as fast. And then if we jump down here to this sprocket, which has a lot less teeth on it, you might have the exact opposite scenario, where one rotation of this pedal going around results in the wheel traveling around 3 times. And if you've ever jumped on a bike and tried to start out in this gear, you know how hard it is to pedal. You're having to do a lot more work because you're only going around once on the pedal, but yet you're driving that tire around 3 times. But when you're sitting up here in this gear, you can pedal a lot faster, it's a lot easier, but you might need 3 times around to get the wheel to make that one revolution. And I think you need to go back to that feeling on your body when you're pedaling in these different gears. And not to personify the motor too much, but that's sort of what the motor is experiencing when you're asking it to do that extra work when it's overpropped. The propeller is sort of acting like a gear because it's determining the behavior of the motor. The prop is working like a screw, and it's traveling through the water as it spins and screws through the water. This is why you refer to propellers as screws. And as you adjust the pitch on the blade, you determine how far the propeller travels through the water in that one revolution. Now, if in one revolution your propeller is traveling further, that's similar to being in this gear here, where your legs aren't really turning as fast, you're not doing as many revolutions, but it's a lot harder to push and to pedal. So when your boat is overpropped, your motor's RPMs drop down, and you're asking your motor for each one of its cycles in the combustion cycle to do more work. But if your boat is correctly propped, then it's a lot easier, effectively, for your motor to pedal up here in this gear. It can spin freer, so your RPMs are going to be higher. Your screw might not be traveling through the water as far for that one revolution, but it's a lot less strain on your motor, just like it's a lot easier on your body to ride your bike up here than down here. So if you imagine that motor is running at cruising speeds for hundreds, maybe thousands of hours, and your RPMs are a little bit lower, you're really asking that motor to do a lot more work. And that's why it's so important that you not overprop your motor. And the best way to test that is to load up your boat as you normally would. You want to have fuel on it and gear and weight, essentially, and to take it out and run it up to the max RPM and see what that RPM is. Now, of course, you can't always trust the tachometer, so you might want to use one of those tach guns to measure it. You can also sort of calibrate your tach back at the dock to see how far it's off. And if all of this is beyond your capabilities as a mechanic, that's okay. You just ask the mechanic to figure out what RPM your motor is running at. And for the Cummins 6BT, you want to be at over 2800. I know that Tony Athens likes you to be over 3,000, 30, 50, maybe 3,100. That's essentially putting your motor in this gear and making it last a lot longer, not requiring so much strain on it as it runs. So I hope that was helpful in explaining propeller pitch.